Hello, guys. Texas De La Rosa here. I am so excited to be back and doing this video for you guys. This is a video that has been a long time coming, and I think this is hopefully going to be beneficial to those people that are looking to get permanent makeup and what's the difference, what is powder brow, what is nano, what is microblading. We're going to dive into some of the myths about these things. We're going to talk about some of the things that people maybe don't want to talk about, like do you need a removal? That sort of thing. Do you need laser before you can get your touch up? We're going to talk about quite a few things today. So stick around, guys. If you have ever been interested in doing permanent makeup or you yourself are looking to get your brows maybe redone or what have you. And specifically, we're talking about brows today, but this could also kind of help you with other things, aspects like eyeliner and even lip blushing. But again, these are going to be some topics today we're going to talk about so that you guys can make an informed decision as patients, as clients, on what you want to do. So stick around, guys. Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and you will be notified every time I make a new video. So, okay, so first off, let's talk about what powder brow and microblading are and nano. Okay, so we're going to break those down for you, okay? Because we hear these terms sometimes, and us as artists, we know what we're talking about. But when clients come in, 9 times out of 10, I have clients that book for microblading because they think that's what is going to be the best decision for them, right? So let's go ahead and talk about microblading. We all know microblading. It is where you individually etch in hair strokes into the skin, and it looks like you have quote unquote natural, realistic hair growing back in to your brow region. Okay, pretty simple, right? It's usually done with a manual tool, and it's a series of needles that are soldered together. So, like this here, say each one of those needles, it can be anywhere from 10 to 14 needles, what have you, and then they're soldered together, nice like this, and then it's just going to slice through the skin. Okay. With microblading, I find, and this again is my personal opinion over the years of what I've seen as a removal specialist as well, I see that most microblading clients that come in for quote unquote getting touch ups say that I didn't do their brow. Maybe they do their brow somewhere else. They come in and then they think they're going to get a touch up. I usually have to tell them they need removal. Okay. If microblading is done incorrectly, and I don't see many people doing it correctly, it can scar the skin. It can blur out over time, meaning those hair strokes, if these are individual hair strokes here, what happens is they'll kind of heal blurred together because possibly the artist went too deep or they were too close together in the first place. I know that lots of clients want to have really fluffy, big brows, but the nature of this type of work is, guys, is that when we etch in those hair strokes in, they have to be a little bit further apart. So over time, you have room for expansion because it's going to always expand. The strokes are always going to expand over time. Okay, so just know that. Okay, I always talk about fine line tattoos because I have a fine line tattoo right here. You can see, guys, that over time it's expanded. Okay, those were not blurry 10 years ago or whenever I got it. So, something to think about, okay? Depending on what type of ink was used in your skin, too, whether it was an organic ink or an inorganic ink, those can also be factors on how your brow is going to heal. Organic inks tend to last in the skin longer. We're not going to go in total depth about this, but we're going to talk about the top portions of what you need to know and understand about these type of inks. Those are the clients that come in that typically have like a bluish gray color brow, after years of having the microblading. It's been there 3, 4, 5, sometimes even up to 10 years. I've had some clients that said they got it 10 years ago and there's still ink in their skin. That is an organic ink. That is usually what we have for body ink. Okay. So like body art. Okay. Now, inorganic inks, those tend to fade a little bit more over time. So I tend to like inorganic inks better for permanent makeup because our bodies change, our faces change. What we're looking at is, our face in 10 years can start sagging a little bit. Things that were up here are now kind of down here. So again, when you're looking at getting your permanent makeup done, you need to ask your artist, what are they using? What products are they using? You have a right to ask these questions, guys. It's very important because, again, an inorganic ink is going to fade out over time, and an organic ink is going to stick around a lot longer, okay? Now, again, there's no right or wrong to these things. You can get good results with both types of ink, but again, you just need to know what you're getting yourself into. So again, microblading again is done manually most times. So again, you have to run the risk of artist mess ups, artist mishaps, that sort of thing. Not enough pressure means that guess what? Those brow strokes that you had are now gone because they just faded so quickly. Or again, too much pressure. Now you've got this the spreading of the ink. So it's basically just kind of like one big blurry mess, scar tissue, that sort of thing. And then also, I think the cost too. For microblading, most people are, paying a pretty good penny for microblading. And if it's gone in 6 months, well, that's not very cost effective, right? So, microblading also isn't the best for certain skin types. It's also not so great for oily skinned clients, people that have thicker skin that they may need to have a little bit more work done to their skin. Microblading tends to just kind of fade away too soon. Again, oily skin, that's going to push out that ink a lot more. If you have textured skin, meaning orange peel skin, large pores, if you have glycation, which is like cross hatching, like issues with your skin, sagging skin, elasticity issues with your skin. You could run into issues with that too as well. What I see with a lot of people is they don't understand skin. A lot of the microblading artists out there don't understand skin. They don't understand what the face is. And so there are areas of the face which are thicker, which is your bulb or the head of the brow. Then you have it starting getting thinner right here about the apex of the brow, which is the arch, and then the tail. This is the thinnest skin that we have in the brow region. So you have to adjust your pressure. As an artist, we should know this. And a lot of times people don't understand this. So they're putting tons of pressure here because this is thicker skin when they're putting in those hair strokes. And then they keep that same pressure throughout the whole brow. And what happens is this part of the brow will sometimes look different colors than this is. I have seen this in multiple clients that have come in for removal where this portion is lighter than this portion of the brow. And they're like, what happened? Well, this was obviously tattooed too deep. So again, ask all the questions. Find out how long your artist has been doing this. Again, what needles they're using, what inks they're using. All of this is super important. I've said this in another video, and I'll say it again. It's important to ask all the questions. So, okay, that's what microblading is. Okay, so again, most people want, again, those hair strokes. So let's go into what the next situation is, which is the next evolution in microblading, which is called nano brows. Now, nano brows can throw people for a loop. They're like, well, what is it? What does nano mean? It's just nano is the size of the needle. They're really, really tiny needles that we're using. And it can be done manually and it can be done with a machine as well. Typically, though, in our artistry world, when we talk about nano brows, we tend to use machine work with it. Okay. Now, machine work, people think, whoa, 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 is machine going to be way worse for me? Isn't that going to be more aggressive? Actually, no. What I have found in my experience, again, this is my experience, is that most people that come to me, if they've had nano brows, they heal very nicely. And every single one of my clients, when they get nano brows done, they usually tell me that it's a cakewalk compared to what their microblading was years prior. So again, with the machine work, what we're doing is we're using usually one needle. And now again, there can be multiple types of needles that you use, but most people use a one needle or a series of needles that are flat and straight like so. And they just etch in very gently. And those needles just skip over the skin. They skip right over the skin and they make tiny little dots. And that's what's going to give you that line that you have, that little crisp line. It's actually quite beautiful. I feel like there's a little bit more I think it's a more forgiving treatment on clients as well, not only from the pain threshold part of it, but also because, again, it's just, to me, I feel like it heals much faster. It lasts longer on most clients too. Now, again, with nano, again, we're putting in those hair strokes that people really, really want. This is for those clients that are just missing, whether they over tweezed, they, over waxed in the years, possibly shaved off their brow, that sort of thing. So it gives you that illusion of having those hair strokes back. Now, my favorite is powder brow. That's always going to be one of my favorites. It looks good on everybody, okay? So powder brow is where we're using a machine as well, but what we're doing is we're dusting tiny little dots all through the brow region, and we're giving an illusion of a backdrop. So it gives a little bit of color to the brow. It's going to look a lot fuller, thicker. It doesn't have to be that quote unquote permanent makeup look from back in the day where it's really harsh, where you got a harsh line, harsh line. We can go really, we can do a lot of really artistic things as artists with the machine that I sometimes think we can't do with manual devices. Now, again, there's good artists that do manual work and there's good artists that do machine work, and there's bad on both, you know. But again, I personally prefer powder brow on my clients. 90% of my clients will get powder brow because it's going to last longer for them. It's going to be a much easier heal, and it's going to give them that fullness that they're really looking for. So again, it's usually, we use all different types of needles as well for those, done with the machine. And again, we're just dusting color through the brow region. So it looks a little bit like you've got powder makeup in your brows. That's why they call it powder brow. And then there's also combo brows. Combo brows, that's where we, or they'll say hybrid brows. I hear that terminology a lot. And that's where we're going to put both the hair strokes. We're going to put the little hair strokes in the actual brow, drawing in some little hair strokes. And then we're going to also fill in. I also like this treatment. I think it's very, very beautiful. I think for clients that are really missing those fronts of the brows, you know, the fronts, the bulbs, when they don't have anything up there, sometimes I think that really helps them feel like, oh, there's a little something extra there. So I feel like that's a really great option for some clients. So again, those are combo, or those could also be called nano hybrid brows, things like that. But that's also using machine work. Again, it can be done with manual devices too, but I tend to work with a machine. But again, that's something that I think lasts longer with clients, and it also just looks a lot better. Now, again, machine work, just to be clear, with the stroke, the hair stroke portion of it, those hair strokes will tend to fade faster than the actual powder part of it. So just know that too. You may have to come back in and get touch-ups of your hair strokes because over time those will tend to fade out a little bit more. With the machine work, again, we're just skipping over the skin. Most of my clients don't even bleed. It's a very, very, very delicate job that we have to do on working on the skin. I always explain it to clients like this. If you've had a body tattoo, we don't use the same machines that body artists use. We use a much less aggressive machine. There's a thing called the stroke. That is important to know as an artist. And we use a smaller stroke. So the machine doesn't punch into the skin as hard. So super important to know that the tattoo is never going to be like a body tattoo on the face. We use a lot less aggressive equipment when it comes to that type of thing. Again, these nano needles are very, very fine. We also have acupuncture needles. They're teeny tiny little needles. So again, 90% of my clients don't even bleed. Most of them are like, oh my gosh, I did a lady the other day with no numbing on her brows at all, and she was totally fine. Again, it's one of those things that, again, artist preference. Some people will numb for those things, but I don't really think numbing is too necessary, to be completely honest with you, because I feel like, if we're doing our job correctly, you shouldn't have a lot of pain. Now, is there pain involved in tattoos? Yes. What is your pain threshold? I don't know. So some people are going to feel some discomfort, but it is a tattoo, guys. It's needles going into your skin. So whether you want this or not, I always tell my clients, I'm not here to talk you into anything. I'm here to tell you what it is that we're going to do and what to expect. And you make that informed decision for yourself. And then you decide on if this is the right thing for you. Now, over time, if clients have had brows done multiple times, okay, and I let all my new patients understand this, that there is a chance that at a certain point, when we keep putting layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of ink on the skin is going to reject pigment at a certain point in time. This is the nature of tattooing. It cannot work for you. So you've got a glass of water here, okay, or my tang, as it were. If this glass is full and I'm trying to keep pouring more water into this, is it going to work? No, it's not going to happen. So again, guys, when lots of clients come into my facility and they're like, I'm here for a touch-up, even though I didn't do their brows, number one, it's not a touch-up. I didn't do it, so you're a new client. Number two, I'm going to look at those brows and I'm going to make the most informed decision for you and say, hey, look, I think maybe we need to do one of two things. One, you let them fade out more. We'll just see when that is. Could be a year, could be 10 years. Or we may need to do removal. And removals can consist of laser or a non-laser removal situation, meaning like saline removal or any type of chemical removal. So those are things that happen to a lot of clients. And most artists don't talk about this because they don't think 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line for their client. I try to make sure that all my clients understand this, because again, if we are always adding, there's going to be a point where, again, the skin's going to reject ink and it's not going to work. Okay. You'll also hear that a lot of people want to do color corrections. Okay. Now, this is going to work if a client doesn't have an overly saturated brow, meaning there's just, I mean, if you can look and that ink is just embedded in the skin and there's not any room for any other ink, just like I said with that glass being full, putting another color on top of it to maybe correct that isn't going to fix the problem. Okay. So going to someone who's very, very knowledgeable as an artist about color corrections is going to be very vital as well. Not getting a new person that's never done anything like a color correction and then just hoping for the best. You know, a lot of times we use different colors like orange, yellow, and green to counteract some of the colors that can happen in the skin. I've done some videos on my Instagram about this. So if you want to go to that, you can go to Texas Telerosa and see my Instagram and watch some videos. I've used green modifiers, orange modifiers, and even yellow modifiers to get rid of blue or, odd colored brows. Red brows, we'd use the green modifiers, things like that. So again, opposite of the color wheel. So, again, those are not always the fix-all, guys, because what I tell people, and this is coming from the side of my world where I do removals with laser. So if you've had a situation where you have had color correction or you've opted to get color correction done because your brows were green or gray or blue or ashy, and then you went to somewhere that maybe didn't understand or know how to explain this to you, they did color correction and now they're brown, but then a year later, they're not brown anymore. Now they're gray again. Guess what's going to happen? Now you've got not only a layer of dark ink, but now you've got a layer of maybe orange or yellow in there that's really difficult for laser to see. So now you've made an even bigger mess out of your brows than if you'd have just had them removed in the beginning. This happens to me a lot. I have clients that come in and I can see where there's just layers and layers of stuff going on with their face that they've just tried to get fixed over time. And people don't understand that this can happen, okay? Could happen to a good artist. This isn't talking bad about anyone in particular. This could happen to bad artists too as well. So, I mean, it happens to everybody. We need to be more honest about this with clients. And that's why I feel like this video is so important, is that we get this information out to you guys so that you can make an informed decision. I had a client today that literally was like, I don't even know if I want to do, she's doing laser removal. She's like, I don't even know if I want to do brows again after this. And I said, if you don't, no hard feelings. I want what's best for you. And if that means going through this process, getting rid of she's got scar tissue from her microblading. It was an awful shape. The colors are all funky now. It's looking a lot better, but she's going to need microneedling now so we can break up some of that scar tissue. So it's just been a mess. This client is a little bit probably on the fence about probably ever doing the tattoo again. And I don't blame her. I told her today that if she decided not to do her brows with me, that's okay. I'm not here to talk her into anything. I'm here to help her get a better situation for herself so that when she wakes up in the morning, she's not looking at something that she despises. So again, I'm here to just tell you what is up, guys. So yes, sometimes clients decide they just don't want to do the tattoo ever again, and that is okay. All right. How many sessions of laser do we need? Guys, sometimes it could be up to 10 sessions. You never know. I'd never give a definitive number because I don't know. I usually know more after the first 2 or 3 sessions. But again, it's all about, what is it that I'm working with? What type of ink am I working with? How heavy-handed was the client? The artist going into the client's skin. All those things are factors. So I did a removal video. If you want to get more in depth on that you can just go back down to my removal video. It was a Q&A that we had some questions that were given to me, and I did some answering for that. So yeah, there's a video if you want to watch more on laser removal. We won't go too far into that today, but just so you know, that is always something that can happen. So I think that's about it. I didn't want to bore everybody too much, but I did want to give you a lot of information here. Again, ask questions, guys, when you are looking at an artist. If you have work that you don't like, you may need laser. It's not going to remove your hair. You're not going to go, get scar tissue. I mean, all the things. There's a lot of misconceptions with laser. It's done very delicately if it's done with someone who understands how to work with the face. Again, I specialize in removals and I specialize in putting them back on. So that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for 20 plus years. So guys, just know that we are here to help as artists, and it's okay to ask questions. And if your artist doesn't know the answer to the questions, then maybe you shouldn't go to that artist. There you go. We'll just leave it at that. Guys, if you have any questions or comments about today's video, please leave them down below. I'm happy to answer anything for you. You can always direct message me. Again, leaving comments down below again is fine, but you can always go to my website as well if you can't reach me. texasdelarosa.com. I am pretty active on there too, so I'm also very active on social media. If you see a video on my Instagram or my Facebook, leave a comment. I'm happy to go over anything with you. And if you yourself are going through an issue with something or finding an artist in your area, I also run a group called Cosmetic Tattoo Professionals on Facebook, where I know lots of artists globally. And so maybe I can help you find an artist in your area that does the work that you're looking for. So again, I hope this explains a little bit more about microblading, what nanobrow is, what powder brow is, what machine work is versus manual work, how they heal. Again, I think machine work heals a lot faster, easier than some of the manual work that I've seen, like microblading. I've seen much more scar tissue, much more damage done with microbladers than I have with any permanent makeup artist that is done with machine in my career. I really, really strongly do think that microblading in the wrong hands is something that most clients shouldn't be doing. So there you go. So hope this helps, guys. If, again, you need anything else, let me know. I'll see you at the next video. Bye, guys.